You think being an unknown is a disadvantage. Think again, because today I'm going to review to you why being an underdog is your secret weapon into success. And trust me, okay? It's not what you think it is. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Quan, and today I'm going to show you what it means to be an entrepreneur, especially an underdog entrepreneur, an unknown entrepreneur. So, just a little story about me. I've essentially started this whole business when I was in 11th grade. Run this whole thing, plan this whole thing up, and make it run off the ground in a space where no one know who I was, and in a space where it is only, only 40 years old, 50-year-old people who have graduated from big colleges that are working in this space. So I have no connections. I don't know anyone. And it's in a space where it's not even fitting for my age. So I've been there before. And you might think that that is a horrible, horrible position to be in. But let me tell you, okay? It's essentially your ace in the hole. So let's first talk about why it's actually a superpower that you have this. The first thing is when you start, you are an underdog, and underdog have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Nothing. You don't have reputation, you don't have capital, you don't have relationship that you're scared of losing. You don't have anything, and you have everything to gain. And the only thing you have to put in is time. That's it. So that means you're nimble, you're flexible, and most importantly, you can't be defeated. The only way that you are defeated as an underdog is you don't take your failure as a lesson. Because in a sense, you don't have anything to lose. So remember, the people at the top are sitting comfy. They're up there just okay, yeah, look at the view down here. I have money, I have connections. I am dominating this space right now. So they're just sitting back and never really strive for any advancement in the space. But we got you down here with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and you're hungry and you're ready to climb. That's the most dangerous combo to anyone that's sitting at the top. Because the moment that they realize that people on the top are not making any progress, they can start climbing because eventually, with enough time, you'll catch up to them, and if you're still hungry, you'll surpass them even more. So, that's what it's mean to be an underdog in a new market. So when you're starting from zero, you have infinite tries and you have unlimited shot on the goals because failure really isn't the end of your whole journey. There was this quote that I've always heard. Business is really isn't a game about talent, about skills, or even about resources. Business is a game of endurance. So it's how long you can stay in the game and keep playing it. It's not, oh, I can shoot threes right off the bat, but then I have to sit on the bench for a while. not the same. The reason the business people become successful because they've played the game long enough. So, when you're starting out, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail so much. You're gonna fail so much that you think nothing is gonna work. Oh, you're gonna start thinking, oh, this is not gonna work, that's not gonna work, and that will be kind of your test on either, oh, this is not gonna work. Good, now I know that, or oh, this is not gonna work, and I'm gonna quit. That's the difference between a successful entrepreneur and the one that fail. Even if they start the same baseline, some people might think, oh, that guy have a little bit more resource than me. Oh, that guy have more connections than me. That might be true, but when you're in a completely new market, you're playing the same game. It's just depending on how you can take your failure. So, for example, this guy, he goes in, he try out a business, landscaping business, for example, and his business fail. Same guy go in, his landscaping business also fails. But the difference between them is one takes that failure and learn, oh, this is not working. Why? How do I move on from this? What do I go in and fix it, or do I go in and change the business that I'm in because it's not working, but time to move on? So what I'm trying to say is failure really is not the end. It's part of the journey. And if you fail, you're just back at zero, and that's your baseline. And so use that to your advantage. Just keep swinging, and just keep making every attempt count and learn from every single mistake that you made. Last. So, three, play your own unique card. When you start out, you lack a massive following. Like I don't have a massive following, or I don't have people recognizing me on the street, or I'm not a main dominant force of my market. That's completely true. I'm still very, very early in this. This means that you can personalize your approach. And I did this by going from business owners. That's the niche I start. Like that's a target audience I start. Went down to, oh, I target business brokers. And then from there, I also target a sub branch, which is business seller, because they're kind of related. So when you aren't the dominant force in your market, you don't have a massive following like I am. I don't have a massive following, or I'm a dominant force in my market. I can personalize my approach. And what I mean by that is when you spend your time tailoring out a message to one or two clients that you have talked to, and that message only relate to them, that allow you to close at a higher percentage than any company ever will. Because big companies, since they have so much clients, they treat their client as number. But your advantage is that you can offer them a direct line. So people will jump on opportunities to work with someone that dedicate their whole time to them. And as long as it works, as long as you can make sure it works, they'll keep working with you rather than moving on to a big company that don't care about them, or they don't even make that little adjustment that they want. And that's essentially your competitive advantage right there. You might not even get all of the client, but if you can get a couple of client by being personalized, you'll be able to kind of establish your own little small business. Let's just think of a small business, and that will start building your client base. From there, and you can evolve further and further. But it is your personal edge to be able to personalize, and you can sell your dedication to the project and not just the product, you know? Not a lot of people can sell dedication, because if you are dedicated to a project, you'll make so much more improvement than those big company out there who just, oh, I have a big system, time to toss my client in there and make that work. So an example that I had was that I had this client for 3 months. It was, they were a difficult, difficult client. They essentially demand high-end businesses, and they want everything to be tracked, and every single time it has been tracked, it need to be filtered down into the very, very specific categories so that they can be reached out. I've never done that for any of my clients, but I've thought, okay, since I'm working with this guy already, I might as well figure out a way to create a system where I can filter down everything. Took me 2 to 3 months to finally figure it out, and now all of my clients have a filter system that they even asked for, and that improve their customer experience, and that improve the person that works with me. There we go. So when you personalize your approach to someone else, you can essentially help your entire system as well. Section 4. Market saturation is a myth. So don't get me wrong, where don't I, I might sound like I'm contradicting myself right now. There are markets that are super, super, super saturated, but but you can make it work. When you think a market is too crowded, it's essentially oftentimes an illusion, because in your mind, when you go into a certain market, you are listening to certain YouTubers, certain influencer that are already in that market. Okay, so think about this. If you're following an influencer with 4 to 5 million followers, and they tell you a method, you go in and you do it, it doesn't work. Why? The reason why it doesn't work is because his 4 or 5 million follower has also done the same thing, and they've arrived at the same result. And that has made, one, you miserable because you think that the whole thing doesn't work. And two, it make the guy that make this whole method richer essentially. Because in a sense, you're gonna have to buy his course. Most of the time, if they're reviewing something to you, you have to buy his course, and you have to pay them, blah, blah, blah. You're making them richer while they're just selling the course, and you're actually going in and doing. They might have done it in the past before and seen it work, but since they have such a massive following, their way of approach will be run out. That's how it works. That's just how it works. And let me tell you this, there are countless, countless platform and method to go and reach your audience. And you're only limited by your creativity. So if you were going to into a market and you were thinking, oh, this doesn't work anymore. Why doesn't this work for me anymore? Think of how he approached it. Think of how your gurus approach it in the first place. Think of what make the message works. Okay? Because what people are breaking down into a course, or what people take away from a course, is the action. They never take away the why. Why people do this and why people do that. Because once you understand the why, the action becomes justifiable and you kind of start to understand why it doesn't work. One easy explanation is just it. You have so much people are doing the same thing and nothing changes, and that never works. But oftentimes, once you have go and learn what works and why it worked for them, you can often apply it to different method. Like you can try a different platform, like I did. I tried Telegram, I tried Reddit, I tried Discord, I tried multiple other platform like Alignable that haven't worked for me. But but from there, I have begun to learn what make it work and what make it doesn't. Okay, so market saturation is a myth. It's because you haven't been able to gain the ability to understand what make what works just yet. Okay, section 5 is once you have nailed it, you have nailed it first and then scale it. Before you scale, you must nail your foundation offer. This is super important because I've made this mistake. I've grown my business. I've just tried to scale it and scale it and scale it without delivering the exceptional values to the first group that I come across. Because when you're starting out, you get excited the moment something works. You get excited the moment the first deal closed. You get excited the moment that you'll get them their first client. Yes, it works in a sense, but it's not perfect. The reason why it works for you in in a first client is because you spend all of your time getting that client, personalizing it, and adjusting your system so that it perfected getting that client and perfected delivering to that client. But when you take something so niche, so personalized, and apply it to everyone else, or when you scale it, it doesn't work. So what I mean by this is first you have to nail down your offer that will work for multiple people, or you have to nail down your system that will work no matter situation. I rushed through this super hard because once I've created a system that worked for one guy, I duplicate that system and think that will work for 2 or 3 other guys that will work for me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. And I've spent so many time losing client because I've scaled my system without really perfecting it first. So what I want you to do is once you have found something to work, test it on multiple people, test it on multiple ways so that when you actually turn up the scale, when you actually invest more money into it, it will have already been proven and tested. Okay. And that's probably the most important thing when you are starting out. Okay. So there it is. Your journey will bring you new challenge, but right now, your biggest competitor is just you. The only thing that's blocking you from your potential first two sales is you. So embrace being the underdog, and challenge will come to you, and essentially you will succeed because it will take time, but you're gonna build the strength to overcome those challenge. And if you want me to help you with everything that you're gonna do, starting with the business brokerage, or if you're targeting business brokers, then in the description I have ingrained all of my tests, my failure, my succeed, everything, all everything that I've experienced and learned, and combine into a system that has worked for multiple people. Remind you, this take me a lot of time to build, and I've made all the mistakes that you're gonna make soon. So, in the description, I have the auto seller system that will help you get business broker or business seller into your system, and from there you can start getting client from it without spending a lot of your time building the system. But on that, later.